On November 2nd, voters in Albuquerque will decide on a $50 million proposal to partially fund a new stadium for the increasingly popular New Mexico United soccer team. Despite that popularity, the stadium has become a polarizing issue. Much of that has to do not with the potential economic impact, but the possible locations. The city commissioned a feasibility report which identified two preferred locations on either side of the downtown rail yard. One is the South Broadway neighborhood. It would stretch from the southwest corner of Cole and Broadway west to the railroad tracks and south to Santa Fe Avenue. The second possibility is in the historic Bareilles neighborhood on the other side of the rail yard, from the east corner of 2nd and Iron east to the railroad tracks and south Hazeldine Avenue. There are a lot of factors at play when it comes to whether or not voters will approve this measure, including a community benefits agreement that will accompany the bond measure if passed. We hit the streets this week to find out how people in both of those locations feel about the possibility of such a major change right outside their door.
What? My first response was that, what? And no, it's not going to be here.
Initially, we were a little upset to sort of find it out because it was sort of an accidental process that helped us to discover that the plan was to put it in, one of 4 preferred spots. We would have preferred to have been part of that conversation all along.
It really felt like a slap in the face.
Dad's gas station was there, and there was a little store there. There were stores everywhere because I'm the president of the South Broadway Neighborhood Association, but I'm also a lifelong resident of South Broadway. St. Francis Catholic School, that was a big one, and they closed that. So I've seen a lot of changes, and I stayed when a lot of people left South Broadway for different reasons. After my dad died, she bought the house we're in for $1,500, and it was a mess.
Oh my God.
It was a mess. And my family hated it, but I liked it.
Yeah.
It's a complicated history of trauma, lots and lots of displacement, and people who've been hurt by government and the kinds of urban renewal projects that meant to help people but ended up hurting people. Affordable housing is one of the most important things that we would pursue for this because not only would it give people a place to live, but it would have our community be a much more vital place.
I think we are already extremely special, and we need to preserve all the things that make us special, and these neighborhoods are definitely the soul of that, the heart of Albuquerque.
What was put in the bond measure was sort of a skeleton. It's a placeholder that names a few sort of items that we'd like to see.
The CBA is a community benefits agreement that a community can negotiate with the city and United the private interests.
To have that on the front side of a bond instead of after the fact, and that gives us a lot of leverage to make what we want out of this community benefits agreement. If this bond resolution does go through, then we would have a series of meetings in which members of the community could come and make their wishes known. Things like having a living wage for the employees who would be working there year-round, childcare for people who work there, things like a funding stream to administer the CBA and the ongoing process, because it's a kind of process that if it doesn't get sort of taken care of by community, it can fall by the wayside. It's really important to us that our neighbors, whether they're housed or unhoused, have their needs addressed. So really, what we're looking at is an extended process of asking, what does the community want to see out of this kind of an agreement?
We're going to have more traffic than we have on Broadway. We're going to have more noises than we're used to.
We're trying our best to make sure that we plan on the front side for things like that by having parking infrastructure needs be addressed as part of the CBA.
I don't know where people get the idea that this is a savior for Albuquerque. It is not. It is not. It's a Trojan horse. That's all it is. and it doesn't benefit South Broadway, and in my opinion, it doesn't benefit Borealis. But Borealis, that's their opinion, and they have a right to make their own decision. I'm not gonna criticize them for it.
I'm excited about the prospect of some of these things that we could bring into our community, because I think Borealis really needs some of the economic vitality that this could bring to our area. I think that the most important thing to reiterate in this whole process is that we've had a success no matter whether the bond issue passes or not, in that we've had the city look at a newly equitable framework for having these projects developed in communities going forward.